How's that?
She's dead on the floor in that room.
That's mom. Yeah.
All right, now to this disturbing murder out of Mississippi. 15-year-old Carly Gregg.
Carly Gregg.
15-year-old Carly Gregg.
Carly Gregg.
Carly Gregg.
Carly Gregg.
Carly Gregg. Carly Gregg.
She knew what she was doing was wrong when she killed her mother.
While the events on March 19th were tragic, the events on March 19th were not intentional.
I put 3 in my mom, and I got 3 more waiting for my stepdad. You think that sounds like an insane person? No.
She doesn't know what was going on at that time. We're asking you to find her not guilty by reason of insanity.
All the evidence, not most of it, all the evidence showed that she knew what she did was wrong. The truth of the matter is sometimes evil comes in young packages.
When Heath Smiley comes home on March 19, 2024, he believes a perfectly ordinary afternoon lies ahead. The physical therapist has just finished work and parks his car in front of the house where he lives with his wife and stepdaughter. His wife had just texted him to ask when he'd be home, but when Heath Smiley opens the door, everything changes.
Okay, just calm down for me. We got everybody headed for it. See what? Kill her mom!
Ashley Smiley is born in 1983 in the U.S. state of Florida. In 2005, she marries her first husband, Kevin Gregg. The couple has 2 daughters together. However, the marriage doesn't last, and the younger of their 2 daughters dies at a very young age. Ashley not only has to cope with her divorce and mostly raise her older daughter Carly alone, but also deal with the tragic loss of her youngest child. She gets only limited support from her ex-husband Kevin. While Carly often visits him, Kevin is said to have a drug problem. Carly later recounts that he barely paid attention to her when she was there. She also remembers Kevin being violent toward Ashley. Against this backdrop, it's not surprising that Carly begins to show signs of trouble herself. After all, she too has to deal with her parents' divorce, the death of her little sister, and the conflict between her mom and dad. At one point, Carly even brings a knife to school. She's given a warning and has to transfer to another school. Despite this incident, her grades remain unaffected. In fact, she even skips a grade. Carly is described as being exceptionally intelligent. Her academic performance is excellent despite the challenges at home. This might also be thanks to the unwavering support of her mother, Ashley. After a few years, Ashley finally finds happiness again. She meets Heath Smiley, who becomes her second husband. Ashley, Heath, and Ashley's daughter Carly moved to Mississippi together. After the move to a new state, things seem to be looking up for Ashley. Her marriage to Heath is going well. The couple even adopt 2 golden retrievers, and Ashley starts working as a math teacher. She's always been interested in science, and teaching brings her great joy. Carly, who is now entering her teenage years, also settles in well in Mississippi. She has a close relationship with her mother and her stepfather, Heath. However, Ashley and Heath occasionally worry about Carly. In the summer of 2023, 13-year-old Carly begins experiencing sleep and eating problems. Some sources also mention self-harming behavior. As you've already heard, Carly faced several family issues during her childhood. Her mother and stepfather become increasingly worried that Carly might be developing depression. They decide to consult a psychiatrist. At her first appointment in January 2024, Carly is prescribed an antidepressant, with the dosage later being increased. However, Carly feels uncomfortable taking the medication, leading to its discontinuation. Instead, she is prescribed Lexapro in early March 2024. This medication is used to treat severe depression and anxiety by increasing serotonin levels in the brain. At the same time, Carly secretly begins using another method to cope with her symptoms, regularly consuming marijuana. She seems unaware of the potential dangers of combining it with her medication. Carly keeps her substance use a secret, telling no one except for a few close friends. She smokes marijuana 3 to 4 times a week. This remains her hidden reality, until the day it all comes to light and leads to tragedy. On March 18th, Carly has an appointment with her psychiatrist. The psychiatrist notices nothing unusual. Carly seems to be adjusting well to her new medication, which she's been taking for about a week. Her behavior raises no red flags, and the psychiatrist sends Carly home with no concerns. March 19th, 2024 begins like any other day. In the morning, Ashley enjoys her tea while the family gets ready for the day. Ashley and Carly say goodbye to Heath and leave together to drive to school. Around 4 p.m., Ashley and Carly return home. Heath is still at work. Once home, the atmosphere between Ashley and Carly becomes extremely tense. Earlier that day, a classmate of Carly's approached Ashley to tell her about Carly's marijuana use. The classmate was worried about Carly and decided to inform her mother. For the first time, Ashley learns about her daughter's secret. Naturally, she's deeply concerned. When they get home, Ashley begins searching Carly's bedroom. What Carly does during this time leads to a catastrophe within minutes. While Ashley rummages through her belongings, Carly goes into her parents' bedroom. She knows they keep a gun hidden under the bed. Carly grabs the weapon and returns to her own room, where Ashley is still searching. And then, Carly shoots her mother in the head 3 times. Shortly afterward, Carly's stepfather Heath comes home. He has no idea what happened less than an hour earlier. As he opens the door, he is met by his stepdaughter who is holding a gun, and she fires. Acting quickly, Heath manages to wrestle the gun away from her. Carly then strikes him on the neck and runs off. Heath watches as she bolts toward the backyard, climbs over the fence, and disappears. Overwhelmed and unsure of what is happening, Heath calls 911. At this point, he assumes there might have been intruders in the house that his stepdaughter was fleeing from. He has no idea where his wife Ashley is. While still on the call with the emergency dispatcher, Heath discovers Ashley's lifeless body in Carly's room. The 911 recording is harrowing and not for the faint of heart. If you don't want to hear more than what was described in the introduction, skip the next section.
What daughter did you do me? Your daughter tried to shoot you? Yeah. Shooting at me. Where is she at? She ran away. How old is she? 14. 14? Okay, ma'am, stay on the phone. Ma'am, stay on the phone with me. Just calm down. What's your name? Molly. Okay, calm down for me. Give me your name again. Molly. Did she hit you? Yeah, I got hit in the neck a little bit. Okay, so did it graze your neck? Yes, sir. Alright, and what's her name? Carly Gregg. Does she still have a gun on her? I took it from her. She ran. You took it from her and she ran? Yes, sir. She was screaming something at me I couldn't understand. I locked the door. She's outside. I don't know what's going on. Okay, just calm down for me. We got everybody headed. She what? She killed her mom. She killed her mom? mom did.
Before we continue, I'd like to ask you to subscribe. I research each video as thoroughly as possible, and I would really appreciate your support in this early phase of the channel. But now, let's see what happened next with Carly and Heath. 6 months later, in September 2024, 15-year-old Carly sits in court. She is charged with the murder of her mother and the attempted murder of her stepfather. The recording you just heard is played in court. In its entirety, it lasts 7 minutes. Carly breaks down in tears as she listens to the call. Before the trial, Carly was offered a plea deal for 40 years in prison, which she refused. Instead, the defense aims to prove Carly's insanity at the time of the crime, arguing she was not in a clear state of mind and couldn't control her actions. However, there are critical facts against her. Carly didn't shoot her mother just once. She shot her 3 times in the head. Moreover, 45 minutes elapsed between the attack on Ashley and the attempt on Heath. This timeline is corroborated by surveillance footage from the family's home. In the video, Carly is seen walking through the house with the gun behind her back. Shortly after, a scream is heard. The footage also shows Carly returning to the kitchen afterward and using her phone. She texts a friend, saying there is an emergency at her house and asking her to come over. Carly also sends a message to Heath, but from Ashley's phone. She writes, "Are you coming home soon, honey?" Heath replies that he'll be home in a few minutes. Ashley's phone sends back a thumbs up emoji. Carly is deliberately trying to create the illusion that Ashley is still alive, even though she had shot her mother in the head just 2 minutes earlier. The friend Carly contacted does come over before Heath arrives. Carly asks her if she's ever seen a dead body, and then shows her Ashley's corpse. The friend later testifies that Carly said, "My stepfather is next." In the 45 minutes before Heath came home, Carly made no attempt to seek help for Ashley. Instead, Carly went so far as to attack her stepfather, fully aware that she could fatally harm him. She also invited her friend over specifically to show her the corpse of her mother. Interestingly, the friend was still present when Heath arrived home. After Carly shot at Heath, the 2 girls fled together to the friend's house. There, they encountered the friend's father, who immediately took his daughter to the police station to give a statement. Carly was apprehended shortly afterward on the side of the road and arrested. The involvement of Carly's friend, who witnessed the aftermath and the body, may seem perplexing to some. However, it's important to remember that the friend was also a child, likely overwhelmed and frightened by the situation, especially since Carly was armed with a loaded gun. Among Carly's personal belongings, investigators found a note where she had written a list of 5 beliefs about her life. These principles ranged from, "There is no God," to "It's okay to be evil," and "You don't need a family." While the defense presented the notebook as further evidence of Carly's poor mental health, an expert offered a different perspective. A forensic psychiatrist described the entries as highly alarming. Heath Smiley also testified in court. He shared that he had always seen Carly as a kind, sweet girl. On the day of the murder, however, he said he didn't recognize her at all. According to Heath, Carly looked as though she was possessed by a demon. He testified, "I've never seen anyone like that, not even in a movie. She wasn't herself, and I don't think she even recognized me." Ultimately, Carly Gregg, despite her young age, was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. She was found guilty of her mother's murder, the attempted murder of her stepfather, and evidence tampering.
Ms. Gregg, please rise and come to the podium, along with your attorneys. All right, the verdicts appear to be in proper form. Verdict of the jury is count 1. We, the jury, find the defendant, Carly Madison Gregg, guilty of first-degree murder as charged in the indictment. Count 2. We, the jury, find the defendant, Carly Madison Gregg, guilty of attempted murder as charged in the indictment. Count 3. We, the jury, find the defendant, Carly Madison Gregg, guilty of tampering with evidence as charged in the indictment. Please be seated, Ms. Gregg.
Investigators discovered that Carly had hidden one of the house's surveillance cameras in the refrigerator, presumably to destroy or conceal evidence. Shortly after the verdict, Carly's legal team began working on an appeal. They argued that her first trial was unfair, claiming that potentially exculpatory witnesses were not allowed to testify, and that new evidence had since come to light. One key piece of evidence involves an interview with Carly's biological father. He revealed that Carly had been in therapy as a child for auditory hallucinations. She claimed to hear voices. This could be a significant factor in establishing Carly's alleged insanity at the time of the crime. However, there are no recordings of the statement regarding Carly's auditory hallucinations. This claim comes solely from the journalist who interviewed Carly's father. When asked to testify in favor of his daughter, Carly's biological father refused. In the same interview, this part being recorded, he stated that Carly had been fully aware of her actions. He said, "That girl knew right from wrong. That girl is not insane. That was a very stupid defense if you ask me. But I wasn't involved. Nobody ever called me." The presiding judge denied the appeal for a retrial. According to the court, nothing presented would change the verdict against Carly Gregg. It is now certain that the 15-year-old will spend the rest of her life behind bars. And that brings us to the end of today's video. Once again, this is a current and deeply moving case. 15 years old, still a minor, yet sentenced to life imprisonment. Was the verdict too harsh? I'm looking forward to hearing your opinion. Feel free to let me know if I missed anything important. By interacting with the video, you're also supporting the channel. Every like, comment, or share boosts the chances of the video being recommended to people who haven't subscribed yet. Thank you for your support. Here you can see the next case about arguably the most attractive murderer ever, Jodi Arias. Lust, love, and lies play a crucial role in this story. Feel free to click on it now. Stay safe.